1, 2,
Yep.
3. Go live.
All right.
Going live. Welcome, everybody, to EB-1 B Visa. So Rajiv, did you want to kick off? This is, I know we did
Sure.
last time EB-1A.
Sure.
This is again doing the same thing for EB-1B.
Sure.
Over to you.
And also, I want to just quickly, an idea came into my mind that we should skip EB1C, which is very focused on intra-company transferees. It's not of interest to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but we could go to national interest waiver, which is applicable to a wide variety of people. Almost
Yeah.
anybody can qualify for national interest waiver.
Yeah.
It depends upon what project they are doing, what project they have, what kind of interest there is in the United States in their project. It's a very interesting take on that, which has existed in books, I think, for about 20 years, and it went through a lot of ups and downs. So maybe next time we'll do national interest waiver.
Yeah.
And I also want to talk about, because I'm getting so many questions about how do we start the green card? How does it work? I'm surprised there's so much information on the internet. It shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
hard to figure it out, but maybe there is too much information. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Okay. So last time we
And
talked
and
about,
just
go ahead.
one more thing before we get started. I just want to mention we're gonna do first we're gonna present this, and then in between we will give you opportunities to ask questions. So I just want you to
No,
hold on
feel
to
free to interrupt me. Feel free to interrupt me. We
right.
can knit the questions into the narrative. So it's not difficult for us to do that.
Right. I just don't want
Ask
to
me the
miss
question.
miss their questions because sometimes if people are asking questions, it will be so top that we will miss out on some of them. So
Yeah. So what I'm saying is interrupt me as I'm talking. Just interrupt me with any
okay,
questions.
got it.
So then we can make a coherent rather than doing it at the end and then trying to knit it back into the beginning. Let's just put it all together in one module.
Sounds
Okay.
like sounds like a plan. Cool.
Yeah. So last time we talked about EB1A category, which is extraordinary ability aliens. That's a very difficult category to qualify under. People do it all the time, but you have to have some very specific qualifications that show that you are amongst the 10% top in your profession. One of the key ideas is what is your profession? If you are a physicist, are you a theoretical physicist? Are you a physicist? Are you a quantum mechanics special focused physicist? Um, are you a particle physicist? Although that's dying. So the whole idea is how do you define profession? That was our last session's focus, and it's there on our website and also on Udi's website. You can take a
Yeah.
look at it. So in the EB1B, it's a lot easier to classify you unless USCIS wants to be difficult, which they sometimes do, and then they get sued and then they're okay. All right. So EB1B is one of those also where there's a lot of discretion involved. The essential central question, if you go to slide number 2, the central question is,
One sec.
are you can't see the
I mean,
number 2 slide?
I can. I just want to make sure they see it as well.
Okay. So are you ready? Slide number 2, central question.
Yes.
Okay, good. So the central question is, are you recognized internationally as outstanding in the academic field? So we're going to define two things: international recognition and your field. So international recognition is not that difficult. For instance, if you have published in journals with international circulation, we can definitely claim that that's international recognition. And the recognition part comes from citations or from reference letters that describe what is important about your journal. So, for example, let's take an example, let's say from technology. So, if we took an example from technology and you worked in an area of technology where it's a very focused area of technology. For example, let's say you worked with horizontally expanding databases.
Mm.
Okay, instead of vertical stacking databases horizontally, like Hadoop. Okay, so if you worked in an area which is very specific, very focused, or security in Hadoop, or efficient content mining in Hadoop, if you had a very narrow focus, you may not be cited a lot. because not a lot of people are writing on it. Then that's where we bring in the expert letters and explain why it's so important not to just look at the quantity.
Mm.
So international recognition is not difficult, but it is a part of the demonstration. Remember, this is a lot easier than showing you are the top 10%. Recognition is easy,
Yeah.
but proving that you are the top 10% is much more difficult. Second thing is your field. And if you look at the bottom paragraph, they define the field as something in which a degree is offered. So now, in this case, you can't have a field which is content mining in Hadoop
Mm.
because no degree is offered in that field.
Yeah.
So your field will probably be databases or big data or massively parallel databases, something like that.
Mm.
You could probably argue that that's the field. Although I'll tell you another thing, USCIS has not been very particular about defining the field that well. They
Mm.
let that slide because they're really looking for other things as well.
Mm.
Now, before we go any further, and I'll repeat that when the time comes, I want to remind people why we like EB-1B is it's much easier to prove. Why we dislike it is the employer's application. You need a permanent job, and permanent in academia is different than normally understood. I'll explain that in a second. So even though it's permanent, it is not really that difficult to have a permanent job. Permanent
Mm.
simply means indefinite. So EB-1A, difficult to prove, but doesn't require a job. EB-1B, easy to prove, but requires a job.
Right.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide. The first requirement, preliminary requirement, is you must have 3 years of experience. And your experience can be teaching or research or a mixture of both. Okay. And if you are dealing with research experience gained during graduate studies, government doesn't usually allow it. So you say, I have 3 years experience in my PhD, they won't allow it. But what if you had 3 years research experience while you were doing PhD, you were also doing other projects? Maybe that can be counted.
Mm.
Okay. So if it goes towards your degree, we won't count it. And if you are teaching, you must have full responsibility for the course. So if you were in PhD and you were teaching master's degree students or bachelor's degree students, you should have full responsibility for the course, not just as a lab attendant or as a lab instructor.
Mm.
Full responsibility. If it's a lab course, you should have full responsibility. You teach it, you grade it, you plan it, all those things according to the standards given by the university. So you have full responsibility. I don't really know what full responsibility means because we really have not had to prove it beyond that. Just a
Yeah.
letter from the university saying you had full responsibility for the course, and that's it. Nobody has questioned us, what does it mean? But I guess those are the components. Are we
Mm-hmm.
good so far?
So
Three
far, so
years of
good.
experience is required. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, this is a question I'm asked more time than I can remember. Even yesterday, somebody was asking me, does my experience in India count? Baba Atomic Research, somebody was asking me from BARC. They have experience from Baba Atomic Research Center. I said, sure, it counts from anywhere in the world. Somebody
Mm.
from CERN was asking me. So these kinds of, remember, experience is experience no matter where you gained it. Okay. Let's go on to the next slide. Your job offer must be as a researcher or as a professor. If you're a teacher, it should be a job offer that is either for a tenure or tenure track position. But these days, tenures are being phased out, as I understand. Many professorial jobs no longer have tenure. They are just given as renewable positions. And as long as they're expected to be renewed, and as long as university doesn't consider them in their own manuals, HR material as a temporary job, you're good.
Mm.
In the research area, this is where this is important. If you are working for a university or a research organization, even if the job is renewable every 2 years or 1 year or 3 years, it can be considered permanent if the university or that department does not think of it as a temporary job. And if it is funding based, they intend to continue to seek funding for the job.
Mm.
So this issue came up in a university case not so long ago. And again, it was easy to prove as long as we had those two things, the university documents and the university's intention to continue to seek funding.
Mm.
Okay. So one interesting thing was we had we just recently did a EB-1B successfully for a manager of quality assurance. I think I talked about it the last time. And EB-1B for a manager of quality assurance who there was some kind of a, it's not a point of sale system, but it's some kind of a hardware system that also has firmware, software, control systems, all kinds of things knit together. And this gentleman's, the question was, is what he doing considered to be research? And when I hit the books to see how the government defines it, I was quite surprised. Government defines research according to Merriam-Webster. So the definition I gave here at the bottom of this paragraph, slide 4, it says, research is investigation or experimentation aimed at the discovery and interpretation of facts. A lot of jobs can qualify for this. If you look at this definition, discovery of facts, isn't big data discovery of facts?
Yeah.
Okay. People who are working in big data, people who are doing any kind of tangential R&D work could potentially qualify. Okay. So look at this definition, keep it in mind. This is just from Merriam-Webster. I know that the government has accepted it in many cases. Okay. Just a tip. Usually government, I have seen time and time, goes to Merriam and Webster for their definitions. I'm not sure why, but apparently that's the most accepted dictionary in the United States. Oxford in Europe and Merriam-Webster's in US.
Yes. Okay.
So we defined researcher, we defined 3 years of experience. Now let's go on to the next part. The job must be permanent. We talked about that already. Tenure track, I thought we had already done that. We've already done that. Tenure track, let's go on to the next one. This is the last preliminary requirement. If the job is in the industry. So remember, R&D can be in the industry, it doesn't have to be in a school. Then the employer has to have some further qualifications. One, they should have 3 full-time researchers, not counting you. Okay. And they must have documented accomplishments in the academic field. Again, I've never had a major issue with this. We've done so many of these cases. Some examples that we have used are patents, products, services, papers, studies, etc. Anything that shows you've done some academic work and you know what you're doing in your field.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the employer's requirement. Now let's go into, again, how does USCIS measure? Again, like in EB-1A, there's a quantitative measure and there's a qualitative measure. Quantitative side, you have to meet 2 out of 6 requirements. 2 out of 6 listed requirements. And quantitative side, and this is where they get you, they decide, okay, so you meet the quantitative requirements, but do they rise to the level of international recognition as an outstanding individual?
Okay.
Not difficult, a lot easier than extraordinary.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A lot easier than extraordinary. Let's go on to the next slide, which is now slide number 8. So we have to meet 2 out of these 6 criteria. First 3 are listed here. Documentation of major prizes or awards for outstanding achievement. It's self-explanatory. Membership in associations which require outstanding achievement to be a member. So I don't know if I have ever won a case with Sigma Psi. I know that we've argued it many times, but for instance, if you were a member of a standards committee, okay, so let's say in your field, let's say if you were, we've done some cases for agile people too.
Oh,
people
wow.
who specialize in agile methodology.
I specialize in agile.
Exactly. There you go. So you got your EB-1. You're all set.
Yeah.
So sometimes we can even use within the agile community, there are certain bodies that are actually setting the standards. And when you are a member of that body, we were able to show that out of 48,000 people who were in the agile community, only 40 were in this body. Okay. So sometimes that can be an association because the way they define association is very loose. Are you messing with me?
No. I thought I'll drink coffee.
I'm drinking water.
Oh, nice.
So associations, again, all that is required is the membership must be for outstanding people. Published material written by others about your work. This is one difference between EB-1A and EB-1B. In EB-1A, the material must be about you. Yudi is a great researcher. Yudi does all this fun stuff. But EB-1B, Yudi doesn't even have to be there. It just says a University of California, UC Davis has done this research and this research. So the focus is on the research. Okay. You have to meet 2 out of these 6. We've done 3 already. Next slide, which is number 9. Again, being judge of your peers, same as EB-1A, just a little easier. Original scientific or scholarly contributions in the academic field, not just to your lab. So if you have, I don't know, I have a friend who wrote some drivers at one of the universities, device drivers. So his device drivers were better than the device drivers that came with the machines.
Oh, wow.
So the university is still using the device drivers he wrote 10 years ago.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a nerd. He was my roommate in college. So
Yeah.
So the nerd boy wrote something that the university is still using. But that's not really what is meant here. It should be something, if the whole community adapted it, and we were able to prove that that was part of his major. He's a biochemist. It's really not a part of his major to write device drivers. So that could be something that can be used. Remember, if you've done something outstanding for the field, we can use it.
Yeah.
And I told you the last time that we were able to show that if you do something for AWS, Amazon, you're doing something for the field because Amazon has, I don't know, 90% of the enterprise market. Okay.
Yeah.
Then scholarly books or articles, that's not hard to prove. You know what that means. So these are the 6, and you have to meet 2 out of 6. This is going to be an easy presentation, partly because we've already done EB-1A.
Yeah.
So most of the people know what's going on, and we really don't have a whole lot more to say. The sad part is the qualitative analysis, and that's the part which I hate. I think it's illegal. They're doing it. But because, after I've shown you all this, and now you say, I'm still going to think about it. It's like an engagement without a marriage. You said we were engaged. Now you say we're not going to get married. What the heck is that all about?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So after going all through, they could still say, sorry, bud, you don't meet the qualifications. Okay, one of the questions that I get asked is, are there any salary requirements? The answer is no. Do research jobs have to be full-time? No. You can even qualify for a green card. This is one of the strange twists in this category. You can qualify for a green card even with a part-time research job. Okay, that's the end of our presentation. Not hard to do, pretty easy. Last few pages, let's just make sure people understand. If you go to the slide number 12, it shows you how to research from the USCIS decided cases. So I give you step by step. You go to the search engine, type AAO decisions, go to AAO non-precedent decisions, slide number 12. And in the full text search, go to slide number 13. Type in quotes, outstanding professors / researchers, end quote, and now whatever your field is, in quotes, software engineering, in quotes, well, if it's neuroscience, it's only one word. You don't need to put it in quotes. And you see some of the decisions that come up, read a few decisions, you will be much better prepared. You want me to take a look at your resume? We don't charge for it. Feel free to drop it to me. But don't send me frivolous resumes. Make sure you think you qualify. I don't want people to say, oh, I know Microsoft Word very well. I can write macros. Well, good for you. I'm sure you're very useful to an employer, but you're not an outstanding researcher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Any questions on this? Then we can just talk about anything people want to talk about, including recipes. I have some great Instapot recipes if you want them.
Yeah. People probably want to hear you play flute as well.
I don't think we should record that. I think I would lose a lot of clients.
I don't think so. I think you might get more.
No, I don't really care about that. I stopped caring about whom I get and whom I don't.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. Do we have any questions? We have about 100 plus people. Waiting for questions to pop up.
They can start asking questions about anything. This was a very specific topic, only of interest to people who are in that category.
So first question is from Daniel. What is the timeline for EB-1B approval?
Same as EB-1A. You can file it premium processing. The quickest we've gotten EB-1 approval was 3 days.
Okay. I'm expecting my PhD in mathematics in 2023. How will I be eligible for EB-1B?
Meet 2 of the 6 criteria, have the research or teaching experience, and have a job. You're good to go. And by the way, a PhD is not a requirement.
Oh,
Even a
okay.
master's is not a requirement. You could meet these criteria without having. I don't even know if a degree is a requirement.
Really?
You could be Ramanujam. You could be somebody who's invented mathematics in his Java shack, and you're good to go.
Oh, that is so if I so here's my question. This may because you said so let's say I have computer science degree and I took agile training and I became, in agile there are like certification you
I
can
know.
do, right? So let's say I became a coach. I am almost about to become a coach, and I start training people and I start organization. Can that be a qualification for?
The problem is, what does it take to be a member of your organization? So if you require outstanding some outstanding features to be a member, for example, you must have done 9,000 hours of training, and you must have passed these exams, and you must have. So there's got to be something more.
Hmm.
I remember one case in which we were able to qualify association, and that was an extraordinary ability, and we won that case. There, the criterion was that this particular gentleman had a set of 3 certifications in Agile that only like 7 people in the whole world had, all 3 of them. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So, and this was a couple of years ago. So you can sometimes do that. Why not? Because association, again, what is an association? Go to Merriam-Webster, look it up. That's what it's going to be.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. Uh, t- t- so I guess as you all, as per you old people like us, 40 years old, I guess instead of going for MBA, tell us the best option to get into EB-1, etc. What education and what steps can we get it for EB-1? Looks like
Well,
they.
I've already given you the ideas. The 2 easiest things you can do to get into the EB-1, at least arguably the EB-1B category. First, become a member of an editorial board for a publication in your profession. It doesn't have to be nature or science, as long as it is a scholarly publication. That would qualify you for one category.
Mhm.
Okay, you are a peer reviewer, editorial board. Second, write a book or a book chapter. How
Mhm.
difficult is that? If people who have life experience, if you are 40 years old, um, unless you've been doing the same thing over and over again for 10 years,
Yeah.
you have at least 10 years of experience. I'm sure you can write about something in your profession.
Right. Yeah, I mean they just have to watch our presentation, this one and next last one.
And
Someone is
and by the way, we don't know what it's going to be in another year. If some of these laws start passing, it might be a lot easier for people, for example, for entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
because there was an entrepreneur parole that was passed by the government, but Trump came in and took it out for
Hmm.
whatever reason. Okay, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So Omkar is asking, I have heard if two people from different countries marry in United States, you can get a green card. Is it true? No.
No.
I wish it was.
Now, if 2 people from different countries are married and they have, or not even married, they have a child in the United States, the child becomes a US citizen. And when they are 21 years old, they can sponsor you. So it's a very long term plan if that's how you want to go.
And then somebody did ask me for the same example that they got married, they are on H-1B, but their child is born in United States, so he becomes a citizen. Can he file for their parents then?
When he turns 21, yes. Just have to wait like 21 years.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Next one is, do I need tenure track job or tenured job? Good question.
Tenure track is okay, tenure is okay, and even indefinite renewable job is okay.
Okay. Another one is I'm a research fellow at Microsoft Research India. What are my chances of getting EB-1?
Hey man, you're asking me to, it's like asking a physician, I think I have a fever. What are the chances I'm really, really sick? I don't know. I have to look at you. So send me your resume. I'll take a look at it. help@immigration.com.
Yeah.
But don't send me your resume if you are a Microsoft Word specialist. Okay, don't. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
yeah, help@immigration.com.
Uh, I'm trying to gather through the EB-1 questions. Can an Indian CA or CPA register under EB-1B? Don't think so.
How? You're not a teacher and you're not a researcher.
Yeah. It looks like all the questions are related
Let's
to
go. Let's open the door for any questions.
yeah.
We're not fussy. We've done our job.
Yeah.
We've created a segment for EB1 B people. Now just chill out.
Yeah.
Anything.
Okay, cool. All right. I think now that we said it, I start seeing flooding. Next question is what is the current status of Mavni program?
Mavni. Mavni has been partly restored, and I don't know. I haven't looked at it recently, but first Mavni was pretty generous. Then Trump came in, tried to kill it. Then he lost a few cases. What's new about that? And then Mavni was partly restored. Then Biden administration came in and took some good steps. I'm not sure exactly where it is. I haven't looked at it for a while, but Mavni is in good shape, from what I remember last time I heard about.
Okay. Next question is H-1B visa getting difficult for Indian IT programmers because 3 American judge going to implement legislation? I think there's
Judges
some
don't implement legislation. Uh, it's the executive that implements legislation. Judges interpret legislation. But in any case, um, 3 legislators have introduced a couple of bills that are trying to make H-1Bs more restrictive and wage-based. One of them says you can't hire somebody with less than 110,000. That's silly because the salary in Little Rock, Arkansas may not be the same as in San Francisco, California.
yeah.
So to create a floor like that is silly, I don't think. These are just, what they do? They write the law and then they tell their constituents, send us money, send us if you want to support this. So that's how this is a way to gather money from their people.
Very
So one of
interesting.
the legislators, I was kind of teasing her on Twitter. She
Yeah.
goes, well, look, the Democrats are out to get us, and if you want me to continue fighting for you, send me money to contribute to the fight. Click here. All nonsense. So
Yeah.
look, I don't even start looking at the bill seriously until it passes at least one house, one chamber.
That is
Once
so.
it passes one
Yeah.
chamber, that's when I start looking at it.
That's very interesting. I hope people keep that in mind. A lot of people send me message recently about that legislation, and I'm like, I don't. We'll talk about it if something gets
Yeah,
more.
there are average 50 or 60 bills introduced about immigration every session of Congress, tons of bills.
Yeah.
And I tell people these bills are kind of like startups. Everybody has an idea.
Yeah.
Very few of them become Microsoft or Facebook or Twitter or whatever your favorite is.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't look at them seriously. It's just nonsense.
Okay, we drastically got a lot more questions and a lot more people. So
Yeah, I know because our earlier focus was very narrow.
yeah.
Now we are even exchanging recipes if you guys want.
There are few people said we want to hear Rajiv sir flute. So maybe at the end of the
But
session.
you can't record that though.
Well, it's gonna be on live. What do you mean you can't record?
Oh, and maybe they can just look at my flute channel. I have a channel where you've seen that, right?
Yes, I did. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's see. If I join a new company in USA on H-1B and work there for 1 year as a manager, can I apply for L1A?
No, they're thinking of L1C. L1A. They're thinking of L1 as A, EB1C. So the way that works is No, the name of the visa tells you what it's about. Intra-company transfer. You worked for IBM India for 1 year, and IBM India is transferring you to IBM USA. Transfer within a company that has international branches, at least in one place other than USA. So if you come here and work, you worked only here. You've got to be outside for 1 year. Now, by the way, we have done this several times where people from countries like India, they were born in India and the category was too slow. So the company said, okay, we'll transfer them to our Japan company or Canada company. One of our clients actually opened a branch in Canada, partly because they were having trouble recruiting here and partly because one of their managers wanted their green card. And we've got his EB-1C approval. All of these that we have planned. So imagine this. You go outside USA for 1 year, you work anywhere, doesn't matter, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Europe, Switzerland, anywhere you want to work, okay? Work for 1 year as a manager or executive level employee. After 1 year, we can bring you back on L1A. There's no quota on that. L1A, or we can directly get you EB-1C green card. Let's say you take the easy way out. You come on L1A, we file premium processing within a couple of weeks, you are here after 1 year. And we file EB-1C for you, within a year and a half, you got your green card. As opposed to waiting 15 years or 20 years. So yeah, people who have that option where they can go outside for 1 year and work as a manager or executive. In fact, somebody on LinkedIn was talking to me about that. I said, don't just leave. Talk to your lawyers. Make sure that the jobs qualify.
Yeah.
Because an executive or managerial level job has to be just that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We heard news that Trump is going to be back for future election.
Yeah, anything is possible because this country is dumb enough to vote for him. A lot of people, I get a lot of hate mail from Trump bhagats. Personally, I tell them, if you don't see through the man, you have a lot of learning to do. Yeah. I'm not saying any politician is above reproach.
Yeah.
The question is, who is so crazy that you just don't want them in power? And Trump is that man. Okay. So think about how many riots did he incite, how many hate crimes happened during his 4 years, and combine that for the last 8 or 10 years, and you'll see his numbers are higher. There's something wrong with a man who says, I'm only going to govern for red states, not the blue states. What is the point of that? You're not governing the whole country. So yeah, he can be back, but if Democrats have anything to say about that, no. And he also has to survive going to prison. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. What are the indefinite validity visas, borough visas? Are they still valid?
Never heard of one. I don't know what that is. Okay. Borough visa? B-U?
B-U-R-R-O-U-G-H. Borough.
There's nothing like that in the United States.
Okay. Next one is Rajiv sir said, John editorial board. Is college magazine editorial board acceptable?
No, because if you are reporting on campus events and that Lucky Luke won the hot dog eating contest, that doesn't count. Okay, it has to be. On the other hand, if you were on the editorial board of a good publication, a scholarly publication, for example, Harvard Business Review, okay, or any of the good universities where their journals are well respected, definitely that could qualify you. But the problem is, normally what happens is, if you join as a student, are you really a scientist or a researcher at that point of time? Government tends to discount anything that you did before you became a full-fledged scientist. Now, you could be a scientist at a bachelor's degree level if you have finished the education, but that's something that needs to be challenged. If you want it clean, at least your bachelor's degree should be finished. Now, like I said, like Ramanujam, you could be a genius and nobody knew about you. If you are one of those people, I want to say hi to you. Please call me.
Yeah. Next one is some of the best options for Canadian citizens to enter USA for work.
E2, very good visa. If you have money to invest, a couple $100,000 lying around, start a business here, start a service agency, start something that you want to do. E2 visa is indefinite. You can keep renewing it. I think it's given on 3-yearly or 2-yearly basis. I forget sometimes. Dentists come here, do that. Veterinary practitioners do that. A lot of people that I know that we've worked with. We have one young couple who's doing they've taken on one of these Kumaun kind of franchises. It's a little bit more complicated when you have a franchise. So what happens is you start taking money out of that tax paid money, and then you can convert that into an investor visa. So you can get a green card through that. So you're here, you are working here, your wife can work. She gets a work authorization as well. E2 visa is a great visa. But if you want to work for somebody else, TN visa is a good visa. But TN doesn't allow you to file a green card.
Okay.
So we convert you to H1 before you do your green card.
I have 485 underway based on EB2. Just got approved for EB-1A. What is the process to infertile to swap in EB-1A for EB2?
He's saying interfile. So interfile, basically, there is no particular process. You call the USCIS customer service, tell them, I want to attach my EB-1A approval to 485. They'll tell you what kind of letter to send, and that's the end of it.
Okay. Someone is saying, I'm assuming Rajiv sir has forgotten Hindi. I don't know why they assume that.
भाई साहब, मेरे को 4 जुबान अच्छे से आती. Hindi, English, Punjabi, Urdu. My vocabulary is a little sketchy, but not too bad. Okay.
But you like, is your mother tongue Punjabi? Yeah.
I grew up speaking Marathi because I was born in Maharashtra.
Oh, okay.
But my mother tongue is Punjabi. Mother tongue is Hindi, Punjabi, English, Urdu, all of them. Punjabi I'm very fond of because it's the language of the soil.
Yeah.
I always tell people when I speak Punjabi, I feel like I'm back in the fields. And it smells like wet earth to me.
Yeah.
So Hindi का अपना charm है, उसका अपना आकर्षण है.
Akarshan, wow.
No, I'm very good in languages. I love languages. Actually, when I was doing my bachelor's degree in biology, I was teaching my friend who was doing his master's degree in literature. So I read Milton, Paradise Lost, Paradise Gained, and understood it. It took me a while, but I enjoyed it so much. I mean, Milton wrote similes that go on for 2 pages and he never loses you. He's such an interesting guy. Milton ki jo poetry hai. So I have a lot of interest in languages. And I did Sufi translations for a while because a lot of people don't understand Sufi music and Sufi poetry. But the problem is there are only that many. My only complaint with this world is that there are only 24 hours in a day. There's so much to do. But I did translation of Sufi poetry from Punjabi, Multani, Jhangi to English and Hindi so that people could understand. But I did that for a while, then it just got too much. Back to law.
Yeah. Does PhD help in making EB-1B easier?
It usually can, because typically when you're EB-1B, you've done some research, you've published some papers. So it's not the degree that does it, it's the process of getting the degree that gets you there.
Okay. Can we file for EB-2 while we are in final year for PhDs?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Because you've done your master's, right? So what is EB-2? Bachelor's degree with 5 years of post-bachelor's progressively responsible experience. So BS plus 5 or MS.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, the exact language is advanced degree. So let's say that JD, which is the degree in law, is another advanced degree. It's not really a master's, but it's a first level degree in law. That would qualify you for an EB-2. So really the definition is not master's, it's advanced degree.
Right.
Okay. A degree that can only come after completion of a bachelor's.
Okay. If I've created a startup which was bought by Google and I am Knight Hennessy Scholar at Stanford, how much more will I require to put in to get EB-1A? I think
Ramban bataya maine. Basically for every category, editorial board membership and published book or book chapter helps. It's the quickest fix you can to your resume. Everything else takes time.
Yep. I think this is off topic, but they would love to hear you say some shairi or poem sometime.
Shairi or poem? I'll tell you something. One of the most profound statements I've ever heard in my life, and it's become kind of a mantra I live by. It's not shairi, it's not poetry, but it's the truth. Somebody asked Ramana Maharishi a question. He said, Maharishi, how should we treat others? And the four words that came out of his mouth can form the basis of a whole society. He said, there are no others. Think about how profound that statement is. You don't treat others as others. There are no others. Sabhi apne. And in fact, we have a school in North Carolina who's our client for many, many decades. And they wanted a motto on their school arches. So they asked me, Sally V. Harvard School in North Carolina. They said, Rajiv, can you suggest something to put on our arches? And I said, there are no others. And that's on their arches now.
Oh, wow. That is interesting. We all belong to one.
What do they call it? Vishva Kutumbam, something like that. So we are all one. There's not.
Yeah.
Kutum means family.
Yeah. Okay. Graduate student doing research as a part of their curriculum in MPH epidemiology.
I know what that is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does it qualify for? Yeah. Does it qualify for EB-1 A or B?
It's not your degree. I told you that before. It's your accomplishments. So if you are going for EB-1A, 10 out of 3 you've got to meet. And if you're going for EB-1B, 2 out of 6. That's the quantitative. Then they go through the qualitative. That's lawsuit city.
Yeah. How to get H-1B instead of green card?
How to get H-1B instead of green card? Read up. Go to uscis.gov or give us 2 more weeks. Our website will be up. We were implementing a new search engine. I was just telling Yudi. And that took a lot out of the team because Solar was not easy to. We have, I don't know, maybe more than 50,000 pages of information. So to search through all that data, index it properly, and have some kind of faceted search. So we had to implement that. That's been taking a month and a half. We've been doing this. And it's still not perfect. So give us a couple of weeks more. We'll have the website up and running for you. We will tweak the content as you want it. But in the meantime, go to any website with a .gov extension, whether you go to uscis.gov, ice.gov if you're a student, go to travel.state.gov if you want visa information. All of these websites give you information. Read up on it. That's a very basic question. These are 2 different things.
Yeah. What options do I have if my I-140 is pending and my H-1B extension, that is 6 years of H-1B, is about to expire?
Always extend your H-1B. Always. It's a good idea. Okay, because even if your 45 is pending.
I think he's asking, can he extend after 6 years?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there are two kinds of extensions, 3-year and 1 year. 3-yearly extensions you can't get if your priority date is current, but you can still get 1-yearly extensions. That's the way I read the law. I've never had a problem with it. So do the 1-yearly extension. Keep your H-1B alive in case there's a problem.
Yeah. Oh, somebody did respond saying Vasudev Kutumbakam. That's what it means.
Thank you. Vasudev is actually, I'm not sure what Vasudev means. Vasudev, wasn't he the adoptive father of Krishna? And Vasudev Kutumbakam. I'm not sure that's the right, but whatever it is, that's something like that.
Yeah. Okay. What if I complete my STEM MBA in USA F1 visa, and while on F1 visa or H1B, I start a startup and get funding and use a part of funding to get EB-1? Is it possible?
Well, EB-1A has an interesting clause, which is hard to pin down. It says you have to meet 3 out of 10 criteria, But if your profession or your situation doesn't readily comply with these 10, then give us equivalent material that shows you're the top 10%. So maybe if you are a great entrepreneur, maybe we can use that. But don't depend upon that. Don't sell your sofa because we don't know for sure what's. The reason I keep saying don't sell your sofa, because I had a client from Russia who actually did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Rajiv sir's website name is immigration.com.
Immigration.com, yes.
Any restrictions on topics like work experience be a book, or you meant a scientific book publication?
Okay, work experience is work experience. 3 years of work experience, either as a researcher or as a professor or as a combination of both. Okay, that has nothing to do with books. Book is the result of research. We are focusing on the research. Book is a separate criterion. It's a separate category. And
Oh,
you
wow.
can use the same evidence for two categories.
People are now getting super technical in it's Vasudaika Kutumbam, and that means whole world is one family. Whole world is one
It
family.
has, well,
Whole world is
I'll
family.
look it up. I don't know
Yeah.
what it means because Vasudev Kutumbakam doesn't mean. Maybe we can Google it. I'm a nerd. I've got to know what it means. I can't help it.
Yeah. Okay. Can you explain me about J1 internship visa for students?
Yes, I can. If you look at what J1 is, J1 is I've talked about this before. It's a holdover from the Cold War era where we had certain visas where we wanted people from, for example, um, Russian bloc countries to come and communist bloc countries to come and either work here or educate themselves here or intern here and go back to their country. So many of these come with a 2-year home residency requirement that after you are done with that activity, you've got to go home for 2 years. You can't get a green card, you can't get a work visa unless you get a waiver. And there are only 4 ways to get a waiver. And I've discussed them briefly. So J1 internship visa, the most important thing to remember is make sure it doesn't have the 212E as an elephant, which is the same thing as a 2-year home residency requirement. It's called 212E or 2-year HRR, home residency requirement. So the best place you can find out information about that, go to travel.state.gov and look at the J1 visa section, because that visa is governed by the State Department partly.
How long does my passport have to be valid in order to apply for US visa?
Look, India has a waiver, but normally it has to be valid 6 months beyond the date you intend to stay, I think. Okay. So when you show up at the border, if your passport is expiring 3 months from then, I think India has a waiver and they let you in. This is a pretty narrow focused question. You can find it in cbp.gov. Go to cbp.gov, look at the frequently asked questions. Don't search using their search engine. Use Google to search their site. It gives you better results. And there is actually a specific answer to this. And there's a list of countries that have a waiver. Many countries, if you don't have visa beyond 6 months, they'll turn you back. They'll say, go back. Your passport is not beyond 6 months. But here they'll let you come in till the expiration. So as I remember, 6 months beyond the intended date of stay, unless it is like an H-1B or a long-term L-1 visa.
Okay. That was as the OPT is being delayed, can I start working with my employer without without taking any pay until I get my EAD card?
Actually, American Immigration Lawyers Association had a practice advisory for employers on that. I don't know if you can work beyond 180 days. And internship, the problem is this. When you do an internship, there are two issues. First, under Fair Labor Standards Act, a for-profit company cannot give internships unless they are narrowly focused to train you rather than to get work from you. So your employer should comply with FLSA. That's not your problem, that's the employer's problem. Your problem is, are you getting a proper internship or is it just an excuse to work?
Hmm.
Okay. So if everything else is met, doing an internship is okay. One of the universities was advising students that if you try to intern for the same job that you're going to get a paid position on, the government is not likely to allow that as an internship.
Next one is very interesting. Which EAD to use for my wife? H4 EAD and I-485 EAD. Both are approved.
Always 485 EAD. H4 EAD is garbage. Uh, because you see, 485 EAD, look at it. Both H4 and 485 EAD, you can apply for an extension, I think 180 days ahead of time, right? But H4 EAD, the moment your EAD is over, you sit at home, you can't work. But 485 EAD allows you to continue working even after your EAD expires for up to 180 days more.
Mhm.
So that's a great benefit.
Yeah.
Use 485 EAD.
Okay. Next question is, can an OPT holder use
Mhm.
DBA as self-employment to report to ICE?
Okay, so DBA is doing business as a fictitious entity.
Oh,
For
I thought
example,
database administrator.
no, I thought that too. A Giant Food Incorporated doing business as Giant. Okay,
Okay.
okay. So first of all, can you work for yourself on first year of OPT? Yes. Can you work on a 1099 as an independent contractor? Yes. Can you own your own business? Yes. But you've got to be able to document 20 hours working in your own field.
Hmm.
It has to be in your own field. Okay. So, but the moment that 1 year is over, you no longer have work authorizations. You're done.
Hmm.
Now, can you do a DBA? You don't even have to do a DBA. You can work for yourself if you want, 1099. And I
Hmm.
give the example, I have a young friend in New York who's a graphics designer. So she was working 3 jobs for 3 different clients and submitting her timesheets, and she got paid for it. The timesheets said exactly what she was doing. The client signed off on them. So that's easy proof.
Okay. Can EB-1 research experience compromise or comprise of research position in industry, for an instance, a senior
Yes,
research scientist
yes,
in
yes,
artificial intelligence?
absolutely,
All right.
absolutely.
For H-1B holders who published papers while pursuing masters in USA, can that be eligible for EB-1?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I'm doing my master's in chemistry in India. So to get a PhD in chemistry from US, which visa should I go for? F1
Student
visa.
visa. Some people might be eligible to get a J1 visa, but the problem with the J1 visa is the 2 year home residency requirement.
Yeah.
Most people even those who are getting um, um, benefits like tuition reduction and extras per stipend, etc., even they also come on F1 visa,
Hmm.
student visa.
I sent my OPT to Dallas Lockbox last week, but now on the USCIS website, the location is changed to Chicago. Will that be a problem?
Call them up. I don't think it should be a problem because remember, you have to comply with the directions on the date you filed the application. If later on the directions change, you should be okay. But contact USCIS customer service. Ask them what they say about that. Write down what they say. Note the date and the time and the officer you talked with. The officer will give you their first name or they will give you their officer number. And if you're not satisfied, open a case with the USCIS Ombudsman's office.
Yep. Okay. Um, how to come to United States as a reserved candidate?
There is no, we don't have reservations in the United States. So if you're saying I am a scheduled caste, what they call scheduled caste, schedule category in India, can I use that to my benefit in the United States? No. There might be some minority reservations, or it's not really reservations, they're diversity, they encourage diversity, but that's not going to get you any benefit in the United States.
Uh, this is my third year on F1 visa, and next year I'll marry my girlfriend. Then what is the process for a green card?
That's very easy. If she's a US citizen, the day you get married, the day after, or if you're in a big hurry, the same day, you apply for Form I-130, I-485, I-765, I-131. Read the forms. I don't remember all the forms. Fortunately, other people in the team handle those things. I
Yeah.
just know generically what is filed. And basically, you file that. The moment you file that properly, you are now okay to stay in the United States. If you say, I'm done with school, I just want to stay at home and smoke hookah all day, that's fine. Okay. So as long as you got the 485 pending, and within a few months, you should get your employment authorization. With that, you can start your own business, start working, go back to school, do whatever your little heart desires. Okay. So getting a green card through marriage to a US citizen is a good way to go if the marriage is genuine. Don't just hook up with people because you want a green
Mhm.
card. That could get you in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah. Okay. Last time, I think in the last session last week, you mentioned it was very nicely summarized how you mentioned the ground floor, first floor.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was awesome.
We were talking about when we file a 485, what happens, what kind of benefits accrue. So I said, think about 485 being the first floor of the house, what in India we would call ground floor. In India we say ground floor, first
Yeah,
floor, second floor. Here we
yeah,
say first floor, second floor, third floor. Many different little things that you got to get used to. So
yeah.
think about it as the very first floor of the house. That's your 485. That gives you the right to stay in the United States.
Mm,
On top of that, if you have employment authorization, it gives you the right to work. On top of that, if you have I-131 advanced parole, it gives you the right to travel. But if the 485 gets knocked off, everything else gets knocked off too. So it's built one upon the other. Okay. So
yep,
typically, actually, they are both second floor because employment authorization, advanced parole, permission to travel
yeah,
come on the same card.
right. Okay. Can my US based relative sponsor me for a work visa?
No, not unless they have a position that requires your expertise. So if your relative owns a technology company and you are a IT guy, sure. But if you and green cards are difficult through relative owned companies, but H1Bs are easy.
The USCIS website have two links where one link shows I-765 mailing address as Dallas for TN state, but another link in the same USCIS website shows Chicago location. I think that's the
I
follow-up
wouldn't
one.
know. I wouldn't know. If you have a doubt like that, just call USCIS. It'll take you all day to get through, but at least you'll get some good information,
Yeah.
relatively good information.
Yeah. How long does it take to get a green card from EB-1B?
Well, like I said, I got an EB-1B I-140 approval in 3 days, but all the way to the green card has too many variables. I would say maximum time, maybe a couple of years, least maybe a few months. It depends upon whether or not they schedule you for a 485 interview. If they don't schedule you for a 485 interview, you could be done in 6 months.
If I marry an American, but after a few years we divorce because of some reason, do I have to go through the same process to keep my green card?
You this is my favorite example. Whenever I'm told to adopt a new piece of technology, somebody says, "Hey, let's use this database." I said, "Wait, before I get into this marriage, I need to know what the divorce is going to look like. Before we enter, I want to know what the exit strategy is. How am I going to get well-formed output from this software if I want to use my data somewhere else? So I need to know that." So this gentleman is planning his life based upon an exit strategy. And the answer is, the way this works is, if on the date your green card is approved, you have been married less than 2 years, you will get a conditional green card. After 2 years, you have to prove to the government that either you are still married, or if you are divorced or in the process of getting divorced, your marriage was entered into in good faith. You didn't just do it for the green card. So you can definitely get divorced. You don't have to be married forever. You can also definitely get divorced after several years. You don't have to do anything more. You've got your green card. But if you get divorced within 2 years of getting your first green card, then you have to have some extra proof showing that the marriage was in good faith.
What happens to when when someone filed, I'm taking my example. When I filed, we didn't have 2 years completed for our marriage, but now we still don't have interview, but we've crossed 2 years. So
They
will
should
I
give you a
get?
permanent green card. They
Okay,
should give you a permanent green card.
yeah, got it. All right. Next one is those a P. Oh, can my PhD guide apply for my green card under EB-1B while I'm still doing my PhD?
This is tricky. I'll tell you something. We had an issue with one of the local universities, very good university, where we prepared the entire case based upon the department's recommendation. We filed the case, and next thing is we get a phone call from the HR and from the lawyers of the university saying, "Who gave you permission to file this case?" I said, "Your school did." Well, they don't have the authority to do that. So make sure your HR knows,
Hmm,
because your university HR must be involved, your international students office must be involved. Get clearances from them, but definitely, yeah, he can.
got it. Okay. Next one is how often are we planning to do these live streams? uh, Typically every other Thursday is
Yeah.
when we are gonna do normal immigration sessions where we can ask any question related to immigration, and then um,
Special
other
topics on Saturdays.
on Saturdays, and we will let you know ahead of time, couple days,
Yeah.
few days ahead of time. Okay, next question is on the lighter side, any expert in finding a partner too, like you should start something which seems to be good option. Get me a wife.
Of shadi.com, shadi immigration or immigration.com/shadi or shadi.immigration.com.
Yeah.
No thanks.
That's funny.
जितनी बार झगड़ा करोगे मुझे गालियां निकालोगे.
Okay. I'm planning to study in United States for my masters. I want to settle there permanently. What should I do? I'm not from an IT background.
It doesn't matter. The last EB-1A that we did, I told you about, it actually went into a lawsuit and we finally got our green card. That was a social sciences person. She was not. She was not a. She was not a hard sciences person. I think she was a sociologist. So it's, remember, it is not just STEM. It is the degree of your accomplishment, how good you are at what you do.
Okay. Next one is how much does it cost to have an immigration lawyer, and in which case should we hire one?
Okay, so you see, first of all, remember, immigration lawyers, like IT people, you can get a programmer for $9 an hour, or you can get a programmer for $1,100 an hour. So
Eleven
if you were to
hundred
hire
dollars.
me,
That's a very expensive programmer.
well, I charge about $1,000 an hour. Okay.
But
So if you hired me, and who would hire me? Mostly corporations who are in big trouble, or people who have a really, really specialized problem. But we don't charge by the hour. We have flat fees. And the reason the flat fees work is because my job is just to look at the problem, solve it, and then everybody else takes care of the paperwork. Okay. So what are the fees? You go to our website. Our website is fully functional. We've got another one in testing right now. Go to the website, go to the very top ribbon. It says home, about us, Rajiv's blog, and it says fees. Click on the fees. It tells you everything we charge. We don't negotiate. We don't even try to talk me down a dollar less, and I won't charge you a dollar more either.
yeah,
We
and don't
charge
don't
according to
ask
what
me
we
to get people. People sometimes they email me or message me saying that can I get discount through
Yeah,
me?
10% discount. Yudi, no, Yudi doesn't get any discount either.
You
But I
know.
give away my time where people, if you don't have a job, I want to help you. Okay. If you are a student and you don't have a job, I want to help you. But if you got a job, you pay for my time.
Yeah.
And typically our consultations are 15 minutes to 20. And 99.9% of my consultations are 15-minute consultations
Yeah.
because I don't need more time than that.
And some
It's not like
consultation are just an email, so you don't even.
yeah, I answer maybe about 50 emails a day and 10, 12, 20 messages from website and from LinkedIn, where I don't need to, I can just send a message out and 3 seconds of my time, somebody's problem gets solved. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
No, one question. When do I need to get a lawyer? When you have no idea what's going on.
Hmm.
And by the way, you have to know enough about the law to know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Just ask me. Let's put it this way. Ask me if you need a lawyer. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Okay. How many days can I leave? Can I live in US? Uh, Sorry. Um, lot of other question came up.
Hmm. Yudi, you're getting slow in your old age, my friend. What's up?
I'm not getting slow. There are a lot more questions coming. I put a 60-second slow on YouTube so that way I can read it, but it's still so many questions.
Scrolling too fast. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
we
listen,
lost it.
maybe we should do Zoom calls.
Yeah. I mean,
Because my
but
my
then
Zoom,
it's limited.
why? Because we can stream Zoom, right?
We can stream Zoom, but we can only have. I mean, at least the one which I have is has only 100 people limit.
Yeah, mine 200. But I think, how about Google Meet? Because we have the Google Meet also. I don't know how many. I think that takes 500. Anyhow, right now, let's just keep going with what we've done.
Yeah. Okay. I'm planning to do my master's in United States starting 2021. I have a single parent, my mother, and I wish to bring her to
Yeah,
United States after my master's. Please let me know how can I
yeah.
secure the dependent visa.
We have talked about that. We talked about that, I think, the
Yeah.
last time also. There are some categories like mother doesn't qualify for an H4 visa or an F2 visa. But if you go to the Foreign Affairs Manual, which is the State Department operating procedures for visas, go to volume 9, Foreign Affairs Manual. It's available online. It's under the category EFAM, Electronic Foreign Affairs Manual. Pretty good. Read volume read volume 9 under visitor visa or tourist visa. You can actually get your parent here on a B2 visa and keep extending that. So far, it's been working for at least one of our clients. It's been working for the last 5 years. But you do have to renew it every 6 months. They should renew it for at least 1 to 2 years, but that would be too easy, right?
Hmm.
But that's what you can do. At least theoretically, it works. Practically, we have at least one client. We've done it for several clients for year, 2 years, 3 years, but this one is exceptional. Actually, it's more than 5 years. I think this is her 7th year running.
Oh.
You know what happened in her case? Very sad case. Husband came here on H1B, senior professional, had a stroke on the job. Okay.
Hmm.
So he's been in rehabilitation for years and years and years. And because he's not technically on H1B, we've been extending their B2 visas for many years.
Yeah. All right. Next one is if I'm divorced in India, is it required to declare status anywhere for F1 visa or university while applying for masters, or even after coming there for a job or H1B?
It's too generic a question. I do not know. Are you ashamed of being divorced? You shouldn't be. It is what it is. Okay. And if there's a choice between single, married, widowed, you'll have to say single. But if there's a choice between single, married, never married, widowed, you would probably still have to say single. But if there's a choice between single, divorced, married, never married, widowed, you'll say divorced. So it depends upon the question.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm doing an internship in the same field as I study, and by the end of April, if my performance is good, they might hire me full time after I graduate this May. Will that be a problem? No.
Now, again, what is the question? I'm a little lost. Why should this be a problem? He's working full time
He
or she's working full time.
he's working as an intern right now,
Okay.
and if performance is good, he might get hired
Yeah,
full
yeah.
time
Sure.
after he graduate.
Sure. Absolutely.
Oh, I
Uh,
see. I think his internship ends. His internship and he's basically studies and in April, and they might hire him in May. Is that a problem? No, that's not a problem.
That should be an issue.
Uh, okay. What are the major differences between L1 and EB-1C visa?
I always say they are kissing cousins, very close. Very, very close. 99.9%. There's 0.1% that can kill you, but 99.9% it's the same thing.
Okay, now we have a lot more people. Then can I reuse EB2 I-140 priority data for date for future EB-1 green card process?
Yes, we do it all the time. Absolutely.
Okay.
The dates between EB3, EB2, EB1 can be changed one from the other. No problem at all. You can transfer categories with the same priority date.
Does my PhD in biology qualify under Biden's STEM PhD green card proposal?
Yes, science, right? By the way, my first degree is in bio and chemistry as well. I loved it.
Yeah.
I am probably one of the few nerds in this country who can still draw something called floral diagrams from the 20 angiospermy families we studied in BSc, because I love botany so much. You didn't have to kill animals, you didn't have to dissect. I'm not much of a killer. So it was botany, I thought was organic chemistry and botany, amazing. But then I kind of started reading about quantum physics, blew my mind. Anybody here who's not read about quantum photosynthesis, and if you're interested in that field, do look it up. It's very interesting because the way they are projecting that photosynthesis is not possible without quantum tunneling. So it's a very interesting set of hypotheses. Read up on it. So yeah, I'm a nerd too. My degree is in bio.
Are we planning to do other sessions like this for EB5,
We can, but
NIW?
but the interest is limited. You see, we'll have other material on our website, immigration.com. And Yudi, you're welcome to borrow whatever you need from there. You can link up. The EB5 category is quite specific. It's maybe 10 people might be interested in that. Who's got $1.8 million or $900,000 lying around?
But I
I
think
don't have it.
national interest.
NIW we will talk about. No, they said EB5.
Yeah.
NIW we will talk about, because that I said a lot more people can qualify for it than they realize. But it is not great for Indian people. It's EB2 category. So we don't love it, but we want to know about it. But it's good for people born in other countries or people whose wives are born in other countries, because you can use your wife's category. Or your husband. Gay marriages are just fine. Same-sex marriages are just fine.
Yeah. Okay. Can a professor with multiple research papers and experience in heading universities in home country qualify for?
Yes, we did one for a professor in Gujarat just recently, just a few
Yeah, I
months
think you
ago.
mentioned it last
Yeah,
time.
and she's sitting at home doing her stuff, running her own department and doing whatever she does. And we were able to get it done, EB-1A done. She's coming to the United States, I think. If she's not already here, I know that her interview was scheduled quite early last year. So
Next one is please plan the next live session on requirements for L1A entrepreneur visa. Will a recent high school pass out with 1.5-year experience in a position of 7 employees with 1 million in revenue qualify
it
for it?
can, it can. Remember, a degree is not a requirement of an L1A, not directly. Okay. So I'm not sure we need to do a full session, but maybe we can do
Like
something like a
5
breakout
minutes.
session.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not complicated. I mean, it's really quite simple as compared to EB-1A, EB-1B. EB-1C is relatively simple. Two companies related to each other, executive managerial level employee. That's it.
Yeah. Two good questions. One is I have a company in India and clients from United States. Would that be an issue if consultant in my company continue working while I'm pursuing my master's in US?
My problem is when you are driving revenue from the US soil, as long as you are not working and you're not managing your company, and you just give the management to your uncle or your dad or your brother, and you just came to the United States, you're not involved with the company can continue, but you make sure you're not involved in the management.
Yeah. Next one is have you seen a lot of visa rejection just because of the age. Is 40 years too old to come for masters? In Canada, I guess it's impossible, isn't it?
Oh, hang on one second. Look, I am 60 and I'm ready to go back to school.
You are
Actually,
60? I can't
yeah, I'm
believe
60.
that.
Why?
I feel like you're in 40s.
No, no, no. I'm 60 years old. Uh, I um,
Can't believe that.
I actually was discussing very seriously with my firm. I said, you guys really don't need me full time. You need me only for like about 4 hours a day. Is it okay if I go back to school? Because I want to finish a degree in biotechnology. And because it's fun, not because I need it. It's just it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. But then, I kind of satisfy my cravings by doing these micro courses. I would go to MIT website and do a course on artificial intelligence. Yesterday, I was doing, I just downloaded that software, UiPath. That's the software for automation. It's interesting, but it's not really that big a deal. It's like a macro
Yeah.
language. It's not that big a deal, but it's interesting. So I satisfy my cravings that way. If I can do that at 60, you can certainly do that at 40.
I
And
think
by the way,
for
in
visas,
USA, in
is it?
USA, there is an Age Discrimination Act. So if Yudi applies, he's 25 years old, and somebody else applies who is 55 years old, and I don't hire the 55-year-old just because he's old, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no age for retirement in this country. There's no mandatory retirement. Okay.
Yeah.
But think about the US justices. Some of the justices used to be 80, 85. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Lord rest her soul. How old was she? She was in her 80s when she died.
Mm,
Right?
yeah.
She was a sitting judge, sitting justice. So we don't have mandatory retirement in this country.
Yeah.
Don't think of that as a problem.
Yeah, even in when I was doing my computer science, I think my one of my classmates, she was 53 years old, and she was just like you. She was a nurse in a hospital in our city, and she was just studying because she loved the concept of computer science. So
One of
yeah.
my colleagues in our office, she was a immigration lawyer. Then she decided she didn't like it. She went and became a nurse practitioner, then a manager, healthcare manager, and then she decided she wanted back in because she liked the way we work. So she's back in our practice and she's doing extremely well. She loves it. She does
Nice.
all of our litigation work, some of our EB-1A work, some of the NIW work. But it's just you can change
Yeah.
professions. You
I
got to
think I
like what
think
you do.
his question was more. I think it is in Canada the age like if you are younger then you have more points in Canada. I think it
Oh,
is like
that is different. Yeah, that is different. I don't know about that, but as far as level playing field for opportunities is concerned, it's the same. Once you get your green card, there's no reason why somebody should reject you because you're older. Our oldest colleague in our office, he is 90 years old. Okay,
yeah.
but he's active. He does all our contact with the USCIS because you have to hold the phone all day. He has tons of patience and he's
Yeah.
very good with follow-ups.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind calling USCIS 50 times if he has to. That's what you need.
Yeah.
So some of the older people have advantages that the younger people don't have.
Don't have
And it's
patience.
not a question of age, it's a question of mindset.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want to continue? Keep continue. Do you have to leave? It's
No, no,
one.
I'm good. I can do another 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. I'm going to visit someone in USA, but when registering the DS-160 for visa, it asked me of the organizations. Very specific. I think we can skip it.
Well, first of all, remember, guys, just a general rule, we cannot help you fill forms. Okay, because many forms require the form preparer to sign the form. We can't help you fill forms, but we can answer generic questions.
Okay, next one is I'm a master student in Germany currently. After my masters, can I apply for jobs in USA? At least after working for a year or so. I have 2 years of working experience in India, and then
Absolutely. Yes.
there's one letter difference in my surname and in all documents compared to my correct surname, I guess last name. While F1 visa interview, will that cause a problem?
No, it shouldn't. But somewhere along the line, I would want you to uniformalize that. All name change issues can be resolved at many different levels. The easiest one is if you are in the United States, go to the local court, whichever state you are in, say, I want to do a name change and put in the right name, whatever name you want. Um, if you want Lord Ramachandra, that's fine. Whatever name you want, you put that down there and you advertise and then start changing all the official paperwork. So basically, at some point, it's a good idea to do it, but one letter is not going to be a problem.
I've spent almost 4 years in United States, then had to come back to India for my bachelor's. I'm planning to do my master's in United States. Would those 4 years be accounted in my profile when applying for university visa?
Were you illegal in this country? Because if you were illegal in this country, that can be a problem. You could be subject to 10-year bar. So I don't really know all the facts. But generally, if somebody stayed here legally, why should it be a problem?
Yeah, in fact, that could be the reason you can stay in your F1 visa. I'm applying for F1 visa and my passport expires 1 month after the end date specified in I-20 document. Will this be a basis for rejection?
I think it could be a problem. Go to cbp.gov and look at the frequently asked questions. Also ask your DSO. I think you should get your passport renewed.
Okay, that question is back now, which was I missed it. How many days can I live? How many days I can live in US having C1D visa?
I don't know anything about C1 and D visas. These are all those ship crew member visas. Don't know anything about them.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Next one is I'm a physician pursuing a medical fellowship. I have some publication with close to 100 cross citation and couple of presentation in national conferences.
Yeah.
How else can I improve my EB-1 eligibility?
Same thing I told you, Doc. Two things you can do right away: become a member of an editorial board and write a book or a book chapter. I'm right now doing a very interesting case for a pulmonologist. And the case that we are making for him, which is a very strong case, that he's a physician clinician. No, sorry, physician researcher or a research physician. So even though he does clinical work, he spends a large part of his life teaching as well as researching. And if you look at National Institutes of Health data, we have a huge shortage of practicing clinical physicians who are also researchers.
Hmm.
So that's a very interesting case. But to improve your own profile, those two things you can do right away.
Okay, next one is in my second year of bachelor's and will I'm in my second years of bachelor's and I will for sure come for master's as soon as I finish my bachelor's, and I'm planning to intern in US in the summer. So will that be a problem? Will I be able to intern with J1 visa and then go for master's on F1 visa later?
Yeah, if your J1 doesn't have a home residency requirement, definitely.
All right. I wasn't illegal. Yeah. I wasn't illegal. And what I meant was so this is for that
Yeah, I
person.
remember. I remember.
I wasn't illegal. What I meant was those 4 years give me any edge over other profiles while applying to
They
universities.
might. They might, because if you came to the United States, obeyed all the laws, went back to your home country, it kind of shows you're a good guy, right?
Hmm.
So unless you go up chewing a wad of tobacco and with the scarf around your neck and you look like somebody who's going to kill somebody next minute, maybe you won't get a visa. But if you are generally a person who's reasonably personable and you've got a good degree behind you, a good degree in front of you, that could help you, yes.
Next question is which would be more faster process, EB2 NIW or EB1B? For
EB1B, hands down. EB2 is going to take 10, 15 years. EB1B, maybe a year, 2 years, three at the most.
hmm. And he's currently on F1 visa doing masters.
EB1B.
I'm a software developer from India. Got through H1B lottery last year, but I didn't get scheduled a visa interview yet. Now the new lotteries are up. Is my last year still valid, and how long will
Yes,
it be valid?
they'll be valid. The as long as the job is available, the H-1B is valid as long as the approval says it's valid, which is typically 3 years. So as long as the job is still available.
Yeah. If a daughter and son-in-law are green card and children are citizens, can they get their parents on
No.
B1, B2,
Hmm.
or if they are old like 75, any other visas other than B1, B2?
B1, B2 is the only obvious visa. Once they become citizens, they can sponsor your green card. And don't call 75 old. Why is it old? Stay fit, stay relevant.
I
Make sure you.
still can't believe you're 60, but what's your secret? Like what do you do to keep yourself fit
I
mentally
stay
and
fit.
physically?
As I told you, I've never stopped exercising all my life. I'm still
And when you say
my
exercise, like what kind of, like, do you go to
I
gym
do
or do
body
you?
weight. I do body weight exercises. I used to teach hatha yoga, so that also helps. Used to teach Raja yoga also,
Wow.
and of course I go running. I do high intensity interval training. I
Oh,
don't do that jog for 50 miles. I get my exercise done in half an hour. I'm
nice.
good.
Yeah.
So I think above all, you've got to stay interested in life. You've got to truly enjoy what you do so that you've got something to look forward to.
Mm.
Uh, I think that's the most important thing. When people talk about, well, I'm going to become data scientist because data science is in demand. No, don't do that
Yeah.
unless you really love what you do. But a lot of people can fall in love with what they do. If you are in that category, great. But don't choose something because it sells. Choose something because it excites you. So I think
I
that there's no secret. The secret is just love life,
yeah.
probably life,
Yeah.
and be a
Sim
good guy.
yeah.
Being a bad guy is not good for you.
Yeah. Similar question. How can Rajiv ji tell us how can we stay productive in our life?
Well, like I said, you got to like what you do. And remember, there are so many dimensions to your life. There's the physical, there's the emotional, there's the intellectual, and there is the spiritual. You've got to. I was reading a very interesting comment that if your development in any one of these four fields is inhibited, if you talk about prana level, energy level, or whatever you want to call it, if you're not fully expressed in any one of these four areas of your life, you're naturally going to feel lopsided.
Hmm.
So you've got to be strong physically, you've got to be strong mentally, and you've got to be strong, whatever your spiritual belief is. And of course, you got to like what you do because you spend two-thirds of your life in your profession. Think
Yeah.
about it. How
Yeah.
many hours are there in the day?
24.
You spend two-thirds of your life either working, preparing for work, or winding down from work. You better be in love with what you do. If you live for the weekends, you wasted two-thirds of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I have it right there. What you love, love what you
What
do.
you do.
Yeah.
That's so true. And you know what? Don't be afraid to change. If at some point something doesn't make sense anymore, make a change. I mean, I can understand. See, I never got married. I never saw the point of it. A lot of people, because they get married, they have children, they kind of become stuck in a certain role. But I think even there's some freedom. We don't have to be so such sticks in the mud that I know some people, like in India, I have friends who have very late in life decided either a change in career or a complete change in lifestyles. Retired, one of my friends who retired early, my university roommate, and I'm putting a plug for his uh, his inn. He's such a character. He was a geologist, and he went to Dharamshala, mountain boy. We did a lot of trekking together in the mountains when we were younger. And he retired as a geologist from Geological Survey of India, retired early, and architected an inn where he is the head chef
Hmm.
and he holds cooking classes for people who live there. And it's one of the best designed inns I've ever seen. It's called the Hima, the divine Hima, from him, the goddess of mountains,
Yeah.
Hima, a goddess of snow.
Yeah.
The divine Hima in Dharamshala. Very interesting place.
Hmm.
So, people, you can change. He did that in his late 50s, early. I think he's like 4 or 5 years younger. Yeah, late 50s.
Mm.
So, you can change anytime you want to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's a separate topic for us to discuss, but yeah, it's this is something I love to talk about. Is breaking the stigmas and breaking the myths. Not myths, but like the ordinary life. Like I think people are so used to what society does is like you do your studies, you get married at this age, you have kid at this age, and then now you do everything for your family. So so you are in that race.
It's like what in IT you would call a design pattern. You've got to live by the pattern.
Yeah.
And it's basically you can't go outside the pattern. Nonsense. You should do what feels right to you. There is no such thing as a rule.
But
Always ask
how do
yourself.
you convince your parents? I mean,
My
that's a
parents were
big
smart.
no. I mean,
You
yeah,
know,
of course, you had that privilege, right? Like, but like, not every parents are gonna be like your parents, who wouldn't understand their
yeah.
kids'
Look,
passion.
I always tell people you're not in this world to be nice. You are in this world to be authentic. If you want to be a jackass, be a jackass, but at least be authentic. Don't lie about who you are. So I have a young friend who has a very odd lifestyle, and she was struggling with how to tell her parents. I said, look, places where you want to maintain a relationship, you should not create lies. If it's just somebody who's a stranger, you give them a false smile, that's okay. But don't give false smiles to your parents. Tell them who you are, okay? And they will accept it. And if they don't, then that relationship was not meant to be. There's something wrong with that. Because, see, if you and I are friends and I project being a nice guy, okay, but inside, I am just not being that nice. I don't feel like being that nice. Then my projection is relating to you, not me. I am lonely in that relationship because that's what dating is. When you go dating, you kind of trying to sell yourself. I'm this great guy. No, you're not. You're just a human
Mm.
being. You got issues. Just be who you are.
Yeah,
So much easier.
yeah. People are saying that you're single. They can't believe it.
Right? It never made sense to me. Marriage as an institution didn't make sense to me.
Maybe they're saying that you would be a great husband or
Oh,
a
I don't
great
know.
partner.
Yes, I think so, because I think it's important to look at the world from everybody's perspective. So even Republicans, I mean, I am not, my mindset is so different from theirs, but I can still respect what they feel as long as it is genuine.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think human relationships are about empathy. As long as you can connect with somebody you concern,
Yeah.
you can. I answered the same question 50 times. Only when the same person is asking, there's a guy, and I'm not going to respond to you. You emailed me like 7 times already. He took $50 from the bank for a referral because he referred somebody else. So he's so
Oh
worried
yeah.
that he's going to lose his student status. I said, you're not going to lose your student.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no. Are you sure?
He sent me the same question
He
as well.
sent me so many emails. I'm not going to respond to him because I already responded enough number of times. I understand your concern, but be an adult. You are an adult. When I've said to you, you're going to be okay, you're going to be okay. All right. Don't worry. It's a de minimis violation, very small violation. You didn't work for it. Where is the work? What did you do? You just referred somebody.
Yeah.
It's like winning the lottery. Okay, you pay the taxes on it, but it's not a violation of your status.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That was a nice tangent. All right. Do we want to continue? I mean, there are Rajiv ji
We
is a
can do a couple
Salman
of
Khan.
questions more. Sorry, what is it?
Rajiv ji is Salman Khan. I guess he didn't
Oh
marry.
God, no. Heavens, no. No, I don't want to look like him. Too much muscle on that guy.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Now people are saying that they won't marry as well because they want to stay young for sure.
No, I don't think that's right. Look, I'll tell you, 1 in 10,000 marriages are very good. 1 in 10,000. Okay. I know one of my very dear friends here. She's French born. I love her like my own sister. Uh, she's married to a very senior US attorney who prosecutes organized crime. They have the perfect marriage. They are so much in love after 30 years of being married. It's amazing to see that. But that's one in 10,000. So you could be one of those one in 10,000. I think those are bad odds. I wouldn't want to bet money on that. Look for the exit strategy before you go in. Make sure the database works somewhere else also.
Relationship advice 101. Okay. Does having education like masters from Ivy League universities help in getting H-1B or other visas easily?
No, any accredited university has the same dignity as an Ivy League university in H1B.
Hmm.
As long as the university is accredited, you're good to go.
Next one is I had H-1B until 2018 with approved I-140 more than 180 days. Moved to Canada after that. Now I got new offer. They said they will file H-1B. Can I work from Canada on US payroll after getting I-797 approval?
Okay, the answer is yes. I actually wrote an article on this in the Economic Times because this issue was coming up so frequently during the Trump times. People wanted to send their H-1B people out to work from their home countries. I wrote an article on this. The simple answer is yes. Read up on it. I think I write in fairly simple English, but sometimes people still ask me questions. I didn't understand what you said. Like I must be very poor communicator. Try it. Read that article. Just say in quotes type Rajiv as Khanna space site colon without space dot Economic Times or economictimes.com, something like that. Just do a search for that site and you'll pull up all my articles.
Is it necessary to have degree relevant to my job
Yes.
to have obtain a H-1B visa?
Yes, absolutely.
How to
Absolutely.
learn?
Or let me clarify that. Or 3 years of experience in the field. So let's say you got a BCom, a 3-year BCom, you've got two problems. One, it's not a technical degree, and two, it's a 3-year degree. But if you have 3 years of experience as a developer, you can combine 3 years with the BCom and still be considered equivalent to a US bachelor's degree in information technology.
Okay. Um, sorry. I'm coming in fall. I'm planning for US on F1 visa for MS in computer science, and my passport will expire after 4 years from this.
So that's no problem.
Or,
That's no problem. The way he started that, I was going to ask him, "Bhaiya, bata rahe ho ki dara rahe ho?"
yeah.
I'm coming to USA.
If I work on OPT for 3 years and then do masters, will I still get OPT? I think he meant
Yeah,
so.
because it's the next higher level. If you are going from bachelor's to master's, so each level you get OPT, you get STEM OPT twice, but
You get
you've got to go to
twice?
the next. Hanji, STEM OPT extension you get twice, and you got to go to the next higher level. So masters, you got your OPT, STEM OPT. Then you go to the next higher level, you get OPT and STEM OPT again. PhD.
Okay. Oh, so but if you do masters and then you do another masters, you don't get STEM
No, no,
extension.
no. Then CPT is all there is, and then all those problems with the CPT that we talked about.
Yeah, got it. All right. I think we will call it. Or you? Yeah. Okay.
Just one quick comment before we go. I just want to understand why the government cannot give us memoranda like they did for the flexibilities for students on all these issues that are just bothering so many people, and all it takes is a quick memo from the government to take this problem away. For example, CPT. Why can't they clarify the CPT? I think we should write to them. Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, that will be awesome. Okay, thanks everybody for joining. Thank you, Rajiv ji, for doing this. We are doing this again on Thursday, right?
Thursday, yeah. Thursday
Yeah,
is the regular day, but Saturday is the irregular day. That depends
irrelevant.
on how
Yeah,
we are both.
yep. Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. We'll talk to you on Thursday, and thanks everybody. See you
Take
guys
care,
soon.
everyone. Stay
Yep.
safe, guys. Keep those masks on no matter what people tell you. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Bye.